I think I was just talking in the room and the camera was awesome sauce. Okay, so how are you? How's everybody doing? um, Thanks very much for the new subscriber. I really appreciate everybody who's subscribed. Anyways, it means a lot to me. Just even if someone comes and listens, but to subscribe too, that really touches me. So thank you. So I wanted to talk about communication styles having to do with people and another study that I read about communication styles within primates. Okay, so the order in which people discussed things went a particular flow, and this was pretty much it, and I'm sure you'll recognize it. There are the pleasantries, the greeting, the salutation, whatever it is. Then there's a quick conversation about how each of the other are. And here's where there can be like a fork in the road. Either events will be discussed if there's something that's in common that they're going to be doing, or if they have friends in common, that might come up first. Then after those are kind of gone through, the last thing that will happen in the conversation would be the time for, a more heartfelt sort of, you know, confessional honesty type of, thing. So that was the order, and this spanned every culture and country. That this was the basic order within which people have the paradigm of conversations. And they found the same was true with primates, that they would begin with a salutation, they would talk about what was going on for the day, like how they had eaten, where they were possibly going next, different maybe good things or problems that were going on in their living group. And then, and I don't know if this is the same time of it, but here's what I thought was funny, that when it does come time for that personal expression, that I wondered if that correlated to when they were doing like the grooming, particularly that primates are known for doing. Because I got a picture in my head of like how hairdressers will always be told such very inappropriate details, while the customers, their hair is being touched. It's such an intimate thing. Uh, it just, to me, it looks like exactly the same. So I wanted to talk about communication and different things that go on in Japan and different things that go on in Nordic countries. Okay, there is a very specific kind of way that people approach work in Japan that is a system called a kata. And a kata just means like ritual or habit or routine or whatever, but that there's a way in which people approach things that's very specific, and it's the same, and it doesn't have to do with it being a habit. It has to do with precision and the way in which one proceeds. It's considered kind of, I guess, how you could say. So if, for instance, someone is in the middle of doing some sort of a task, and particularly outside, they do not want to be disturbed, because they know that if they start chatting, they'll be distracted away from what they're trying to do. And so the men who do not wish to be talking or disturbed, because they want others to know, please don't even say hello to me. They wear a white towel on their head to signify, I'm working now, I've got my uniform on, talk with me later at another time. And so friends who see that, person who's working, they won't even look up to say hi. They won't even, give a cursory hello, because it's respected that they have asked for, a time to not have communication for their work to get finished. And I really loved that, because you know how so many times people get distracted and then they don't finish what they started, and this kind of thing, and that in our culture, that if you don't give the cursory wave, whatever, that it's considered to be, rude, if nothing else, even if you are busy, but you'll still have to explain it. Sorry, can I talk to you later? And sometimes people are still insulted. It's like, what can you do? Now, I know that this is true for the Nordic countries. I know that this is true in Norway, and I think Finland too in particular. And it has to do with the pleasantries that people express in public as far as friendliness, and that it is not considered um, necessary to acknowledge or smile at other people who are in your vicinity, even when they are friends with you. That on any given day you may or may not choose or wish to chat with someone, and that passing someone in a common place but not saying hello on that day had no bearing upon their feelings towards or against you, or even if they were busy or not, but just they weren't wanting to talk at that time, and that personal space was respected. Pardon me. And I really like that point of view. Now, I know that people talk particularly about Finns, how, they're just very cold, and, I mean, there's been discussions about that, and I really don't want to malign Finn people at all. So I'm not saying that because I believe that or agree with that. But I'm just saying that, if you read things about it from from an ethnocentric point of view to someone else, they may think that, oh, a Finn is being cold. Well, no, not necessarily. They just don't want to talk, and it has nothing to do with you, right? So I was talking with someone. Hey, Dan, I haven't talked to you in a while. I should probably send this to you. And we were talking about how there are some days where when we go out into the world, it's like we don't want to go out just because we don't want to have to say hello to everybody. And it is so true, because if I stop and I talk with every single individual every single time, it adds sometimes an hour and a half. And this is partly because I live in a small town. I'm not popular. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying people, and everybody knows. Everybody knows you, and everyone wants to stop and chat, which it's nice. I'm not saying that those exchanges aren't welcome and that I don't enjoy them, but there are just some days where I'm like, I just don't even want to have to bother, please. I'll literally, oh my gosh, this was so bad. I called Wonder Woman, Colleen, I called you this day, or I texted you, or maybe I told you afterwards. One time there was, I'm so bad, right? There was someone who I knew, and they were a student of mine. They were a Hugo student of mine. I was not in the mood to talk. I didn't even want to, give a smile or a nod or a hey or anything. I just didn't feel like talking that day. There's some days where I want to just be quiet. And shocker, right? No, really, it happens often. And I literally went through every aisle to avoid him, looking out from behind him, making sure, some kind of bandit, that he got out of the store before me, so that there was no chance of me running into him. And the whole time, I feel like I'm in third grade, I remember running behind the bread and hiding, and then going to another section and making sure that I'm still collecting everything so I don't totally look weird to everybody in the store, as if anybody noticed, right? But just not wanting to say hello, is that so wrong? And that in our culture, that is. And I wonder how that pans out here in the virtual world. Because, for instance, say on Skype or on Facebook, or when you have any of those messaging services, there are ways that you can not talk to a person, or they won't know you're there, or you can, just kind of, and sometimes I just want to go on and check my emails and get out. And if I put myself on as available, someone who hasn't been able to talk to me in a while comes to want to say hello, and it's so painful to say, I'm sorry I can't chat right now, and hope that they don't take it personally, which, depending upon who they are and what's going on in the friendship, why that would be something that's a big deal or not, because people could take that as being aloof, or people invent all kinds of ideas. I mean, really, it's odd. On YouTube, though, in particular, I wonder, on a day where you don't want to talk, but you're still wanting to be social, or you're still wanting to watch the other people, how does that work out? Or are there ways that you in particular may or may not initiate either conversation, or I know some people who they don't even prefer to like email or do something in the comments. They'll just make another video. Sometimes I do that, just because I don't want to write, or it's faster for me, or whatever it is. But does that mean on a day that I wanted to write because I didn't want to do a video? I don't know. So anyways, I don't know where this is going. I hope I didn't meander too much. Whatever. Anyways, thanks a lot for listening, and I'd like to hear back from you. Interested to hear your point of view and your experiences with that, and any other cultural input. There's a couple of people on here who I know can offer some, um, and yeah, you know who you are. So, as always, I wish you bright blessings of peace on your heart.